Well, look, for the Global Equity Income Fund at JP Morgan, we have two key differentiated inputs. So firstly, it's the depth and breadth of our global research function. We have 80 analysts all over the world, from New York to Tokyo, London, and lots of other regions in between. We invest about $150 million a year in research to get really experienced analysts, lots of industry experience, on the ground, meeting company management teams to drive differentiated company insights that we can fill client portfolios with. So that's one. Secondly, it's the experience of the global portfolio management team we have. So between me and my two colleagues, we have over 55 years investment experience, not just investing, but investing within the JP Morgan global framework, which means we've got 55 years of compounded knowledge to really get the most out of the analysts and the investment signals that we have. And what that's meant for income investing is we've learned over time you need to invest across the yield spectrum. You need to invest in low yields with high dividend growth, and then you need to find high dividend yielders with also attractive levels of dividend growth. We think that's the right way to run money in this strategy, and we think it sets clients up very well for the long run. So we're investing the whole way across the yield spectrum. So if we take a step back, as long as a company pays a dividend, we consider that fair game. So we're investing in companies with lower yields today, like Disney or Sony, very significant global content generators, both leaders in their markets. And we think that leadership will allow them to deliver very strong returns, free cash flow growth, and ultimately dividend growth over time. Lower yields today, but really growing those dividends in a sustainable way. On the other end of the spectrum, we're finding great opportunities in the high yield space. So we're overweight utility companies, and that's just a function of increasing electricity demand, in part because of the data center rollout, but also because we're seeing significant drivers in local domestic production, which is driving industrial policy and greater demand for electricity. That's all great for utility companies who have to invest to allow this electricity growth to continue. And then finally, we partner with these low yielders and high yielders, the core part of the portfolio, which is your classic compounders. Companies like Coca-Cola that have grown dividends at 8% a year since the 1980s and should continue to do so for a very long period of time. So it's these three buckets that we think about investing in. And again, we feel that puts our clients in a pretty good space to invest over the long term. So typically, in the Global Equity Income Fund, we have two types of investors. Firstly, we have the yield-conscious investor that wants to get a 2-3% dividend yield, but grow that dividend and their capital over time in a sustainable way. But increasingly, we have a second type of investor, an investor who wants access to global equity markets, but in a high-quality, defensive, resilient strategy. So our strategy dovetails very nicely with, say, a higher-octane US technology strategy or a global growth strategy, given its defensive characteristics. So a nice way to think about the strategy is you can get a 2-3% dividend yield, maybe an 8% dividend growth over time, and given valuations aren't stretched, that's a 10-11% total return in a high-quality defensive wrapper, which we think is a really attractive proposition today.